fix all this crap. Damn, 11 people already on this shit? God damn. Hold on, peeps. Gotta put in these tags real quick. Pokemon BSP. Pokemon game review. Thailand Darshan room. Oh shit, I gotta change that. I wonder if everyone can hear you. Me. Can anyone hear Larry?
Hello, hello, hello.
Is that good enough, guys? Let's see right now.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were live already. I'm trying to pull it up.
It says they can hear you, so.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, people are saying yes, so fuck it, we can start it.
There we go. I can see it now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna be, well, for those of you who just joined, we are gonna be going over Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I don't know how long this conversation will be because there's a lot of things to talk about in this game in particular because you know, expectations and the wait that we had. But yeah, I'm gonna be trying to hatch a shiny Apom with Fake Out because that'll be my third Pokemon. I can hatch shiny if I could. But we do have Larry with us, so I won't be the only one here. Everyone knows who Larry is. I mean, he's done plenty of giveaways in the past. He's mostly known for that. And yeah, we can talk about the game. If you guys have any opinions of it, feel free to talk about it in the chat. We're gonna be reading, your guys' comments, questions you guys may have for us. And yeah, we can get things started. Larry, if you wanna just introduce yourself real quick.
What's up, guys? Larry from the Larry Bud channel. Probably some of you guys share mutual YouTubes. I mean, if you haven't subscribed to me already, I mean, feel free to drop a subscription. But just here to have a conversation with Frank. Gonna go over Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Just give our honest opinions about it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn you up a little bit more. I think you should be good. Yeah, so with this game, obviously there was a lot of hype. There was a lot about expectations. Will just asked, what do you think about the competition or the competitive scene? We'll talk about that later. Because there's some pretty interesting opinions we have about the Wi-Fi capabilities of this game as of right now. Um, so just to give you guys a little bit of background, like these games have been wanted by the Pokemon community since the inception of ORAS, which was literally, I think it was over 7 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And everybody wanted fourth gen remakes. These are probably one of the most hyped games I've ever seen in the Pokemon history or in the franchise history. Um, and obviously so because fourth gen is beloved by everybody. I don't think I ever heard or seen anybody like literally hate these games because these games is what kickstarted. I guess it kickstarted the golden era of, or not even kickstarted. It just continued that golden era of Pokemon with third, fourth, and fifth gen. I remember reading an article not that long ago saying that these games sold about 6 million copies, physical
Yeah,
copies,
6 million physical.
within the first week, which is it's impressive considering that's just the physical copies on its own. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the game, see why that is, and before we jump into it, I did put a poll in my community tab, talking about um, like what are my subscribers or my viewers point of view of the game. I think the majority said good. A few said exceptional, and then I believe 13% said meh or skippable. Um, yeah. So right off the bat, we can talk about the art style, the visual. Everyone has seen what the game looks like. The game to me looks good. It doesn't look completely great. I know it's gotten a lot of criticism saying that you know the game's visuals could have been a little more mature based on how far apart the original games are. Um, me personally, I didn't really have a problem with the chibi art style, but the biggest concern that I had with this art style is when the camera pans up close to other models. For example, when you face, I believe it's Byron, who's the sixth gym leader, when you
I think
confront him
so.
the first time, the camera pans in a very weird way to the point that the background becomes like super blurry. His face looks really awkward, and you look awkward as well because of the camera's trying to emphasize your encounter with him. Um, but other than and the biggest one, the biggest complaint that I've had was that when you face Cyrus in Mount Coronet or Spear Pillar, whatever you guys like to call it, um, his chibi model looks like, to be honest with you, it looks fucking stupid because the way his face is portrayed, the way his like Cyrus to me is like one of the most intimidating people in the Pokemon universe. He's right up there with Getsis from Generation 5. But the art style of this game really made him look not as intimidating. Um, and while I do think the art style is okay, it just wasn't implemented or wasn't executed correctly. I know there's a lot of people who wanted this game to be in the art style of other games, such as I believe it's I forgot what that game is called. Octopath Traveler, where it's like a 2D or 8-bit meshed in a 3D environment, which I think that would have been really cool, considering that's where the game originally come from. I know some people didn't like the art style from since the trailers. That's pretty much my opinion. I think my opinion on the art style is that it's not as great as it would have been.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. Like when I first saw that it was like chibi, I was kind of like, I'm not really gonna be too fond of this, but it just kind of grew on me. It like I didn't really look at the game while I'm playing it and like, I hate that how these like character models look. I mean, I would have preferred it to be more of like the actual full body, like Sword and Shield was, because I mean, like you were saying before, like with it being like such a gap between the original and the remake, you'd expect it to be more like fleshed out and stuff. But overall, I mean, like it still it wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was gonna be. Like I really, it just kind of grew on me. But I definitely do agree with the whole thing about Cyrus, like his like some of the character models when they did try to, they didn't really translate over when it came to being like a chibi model. So it was like it looked really like somebody said in the chat he wasn't intimidating, which was like the main point. Like he looked more like constipated than actually like intimidating, trying to like actually like put fear into you. So it was like some of those things. I feel like that's where the character models maybe should have been adjusted because these aren't kids. You just kind of made like little Lego figures that kind of didn't really translate the emotion over. But overall, I mean, I mean, I got no issue with it.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the Pokemon models, I think they looked pretty good. I don't really have any issues with the Pokemon models. I think pretty much they pretty much kept what they had in Sword and Shield, and they just transitioned
Yeah,
it over to this game, which it was nice seeing Pokemon like Infernape, the starters, the legendaries that are from this game, like more up to scale. Because last time we saw them was in seventh generation with Ultra Sun and Moon. So overall, the Pokemon models to me looked great. Um, the areas look pretty good. Um, the routes that we go through, throughout the region, they are pretty good. The only issue that I've had particularly with the with when you're moving with your character, to me it seemed like the directional pad was a little awkward when you're doing diagonal or when you're trying to
yeah.
cut corners. Like for this example right now, as I'm biking trying to hatch these eggs, like I noticed when I try to do a complete 180 on my bike, like it feels like, you know, I have to restart. I lose my momentum and all that kind of stuff. So the traveling, I didn't really have much of a problem with it, but it's some stuff that they could have tweaked a little bit to make it better. And I think, my opinion with this game is gonna mostly be, yeah, they could have, yeah, this is good, but they could have done a little better to, just give it a good, nice quality upgrade for what it's worth so far. So yeah, so I think with this review, we're gonna talk about like the good stuff, mostly, and then we're gonna talk about the stuff they definitely they could have improved upon or they straight up fall flat. I don't know, Larry, if if you have a topic in mind. I mean, I can
I
just go off.
guess. I mean, I guess one of the things I guess I've seen personally is more so the wireless communications.
Mhm.
So like stuff like the battle and trade system and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, I feel like Union Room. So for me and Frank, I feel like we kind of have a different perspective when it comes to Union Room. Like
Mhm.
Union Room is honestly pretty great for us. I mean, if we're doing like a role of like a giveaway host or whatever. But
Correct.
as far as like for people trying to participate, it's a kind of annoying because like it's bouncing between different rooms and it's like that extra layer of having to go into the union room. But as far as like if you're trying to just communicate with like a friend or something like that, I feel like it's really convenient. It's just I think it's something people gotta get used to or whatever. It's definitely better than Festival Plaza,
Oh, for
like
sure.
without a doubt.
For
But
sure. Yeah.
I definitely think that as far as like being like person to person, like where you can literally be like if you're just trying to interact with a friend, you're like, okay, we're gonna battle, then we're gonna trade, then we're gonna do whatever, all in this one space. It's pretty convenient in those regards. But I definitely think that I feel like YCOM back in Sword and Shield should honestly be like the kind of standard no matter what from here on out. Because it was just pretty seamless. I mean, you just put in some numbers. There wasn't this extra layers and stuff. Like so, I really do feel like that was the element that they were like missing with the wireless communication. And I don't think we've had Wonder Trade brought in yet
No.
because I know we're not having like GTS. I don't think so. It's like I think it's lacking in some areas, but it definitely I guess for it being a remake, you can't really expect them to go kind of like all out for a game that's literally, in my opinion, kind of meant to be a bridge, like just to kind of give us some kind of content to play. But
Right. No, and I
yes,
agree what you said. I think I think this is gonna be, kind of a hot take, but without the full capacity, online capacity of these games, I think these games are going to be forgettable within
Oh,
the next
absolutely.
couple of months. Obviously, Legends Arceus is right there. And a lot of people are saying this game is going to be the sacrificial lamb for Legends Arceus because obviously that's a new game with the quote unquote different direction of where Pokemon wants to take, and that's completely fine. But the problem is if I'm going to be buying a full game for $60, or I don't care what the price it is, I expect the game to be completely 100% upgraded. The fact that we don't have the Coliseum upgraded in this game, the fact that Union Room is not 100% at its capacity, and the fact that there's no Wonder Trade, the GWS building hasn't been functional yet because you still don't have access to that area yet. Um, to me, it seems like this game is gonna be that's gonna be the reason why the game is gonna be forgettable, or even right now it's kind of forgettable for me honestly, because me as someone who loves to battle, um, it's just unfortunate to see that a lot of people, because of the battle, and we haven't even talked about the battle timer in this game as well. It made its return from Sword and Shield. It's still the stupid ass 20-minute timer, which I already have made a couple videos on that. I hate the timer in this game a lot. Um, it's gonna be the reason why people are not gonna be online on this game that often. And for someone who loves to battle, I love to battle. I play Showdown, so I know what it's like on both sides of the coin. Um, I'm still gonna play Showdown because Showdown is still the number one option when it comes to full accessible battles. The way Pokemon should be played, the way Pokemon should have a battle timer and not a complete time limit.
Yep.
And this game, unfortunately, it hinders your ability to play full-on games without having to win with the timer or lose the timer because someone can just stall you out. And you gotta understand one thing with the timer. The timer takes into account battle animations as well. So let's say you can stall out 60 seconds to take your turn, and the battle animations can take up to a minute. I don't know if there's any moves in this game that last a minute, but that's already uh, let's see, 2 minutes out of the 20 minutes that you're allowed in one turn. That's 10% of your battle already wasted because of time wasting and battle animations and all that. So I do think that's gonna be the biggest Achilles heel with this game. Um, and yeah, I don't know understand I don't really understand why they wanted to handicap us with this online stuff. I feel like this online stuff should have been hashed out day one, or it could have been upgraded, or not upgraded, but mostly within the first update that allowed us access to Raminus Park and Grand Underground, all that cool stuff. So I think they kind of missed out on that, and I can see them, you know, I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but I can see them completely miss out on. Oh shit, we were supposed to update our online capabilities for this game. It might happen. I don't think it will, because this is Pokemon we're talking about. But
I can see him doing it.
I can definitely see it doing it the way it is. But then again, Game Freak isn't the one heading this game. It's Ilka, and if you guys don't know who
Yeah.
Ilka is, they're the ones who developed Pokemon Home. Um, in regards to Ilka, this is their first project, mainline Pokemon project that they were worked on, and I will say they did an okay job. I don't think it's a phenomenal job. I think it's good enough that they kept the integral experience of the game. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that's missing. Not missing, but a lot of stuff that is really out there for this game. Um, One of them happens to be the really cool yet interesting menu glitch that occurred prior to the latest update, which I was able to clone Pokemon, clone items. Me personally, I don't really have a problem with it because who cares? Glitches and bugs have been in Pokemon games since literally the first iteration of Pokemon games that were red, yellow, blue, green, whatever. Obviously, people remember the Mew, under the truck Mew glitch. There is the Emerald cloning glitch at the Battle Tower. Um, it's nothing new, but I do think that's a massive oversight on their part, which we don't care as a community. Hey, free that means free Pokemon, free items. Who cares? But for them, it's a massive oversight, and I wonder. And this is a cool theory that I read. I wonder if Game Freak intentionally made Ilka head of development, to the point that if something were to go wrong with these games, Game Freak isn't going to take the blame. It'd be Ilka because of the massive expectations with these games. So it's a pretty cool theory. I don't think that's even remotely true because, anyways, they made hundreds of millions of dollars within the first week, so I don't think that really cares, or I don't think that really matters at all. So pretty cool. I will say one on the one good thing about this game, and I think this is probably going to be the best example of why you should get this game, is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is phenomenal. The soundtrack, while it's remastered, it sounds good. It's like it's kind of like upgrading your car. You have your whatever model of car you have, but at the same time, it still has that the integral pieces intact. The soundtrack sounds really great, and for those of you who haven't completed the game yet, once you beat the Elite Four, you can visit the Valor Hotel, Lake Hotel, whatever it's called, and you get a key item from one of the Game Freak, chibi models, NPCs, and it gives you a key item called DS Sounds, and it allows you to play the game using the DS soundtrack from the original games. It's pretty cool. I don't have it on because I rather listen to the more updated tunes. The biggest issue I have with the key item, however, is that if you play it, it kind of sounds like a compressed. It's a compressed playlist, and what I mean by that is it sounds like it's not loud enough on par with the current soundtrack, and it sounds a little muffled. But other than that, not much to say about the soundtrack. I think it's great. It's very replay. It has a lot of replay value. Me particularly, I love Route 216, which is the snowy area. That has like arguably one of the best. It's probably one of the best tracks in the game, if not all of Pokemon franchise. So yeah, I think the sound is, in my opinion, it's more of the standout characteristics of this game.
I definitely agree. I think Gen 4 probably has like one of the best soundtracks. But back to the battle topic. But I mean, I pretty much agree, like full heartedly with Frank about the stuff with the battling because I honestly, I mean, I prefer competitive stuff more than really anything. But it's like it's kind of hard to, and like I do not mind playing Showdown. I love playing with Showdown, but it kind of is like a little discouraging when you can't really play appropriately in your own game. So it's like, I
Right.
mean, obviously, I mean, if you know who I am, I would just gen my stuff and like I'd play in the game. But I still do appreciate like the animation and stuff like that of the game. But like, as I mean, if you guys are doubles players, I mean, the timer doesn't really affect you as much. But for singles players, like 20 minutes is not that long, especially with how with like Frank gave you the details, and also like if you have like shiny Pokemon, those actually add like time to the timer and stuff like that. So it's
Yep.
like all those little things they do add up. Like I mean, yeah, some people are like, oh yeah, you guys just make quicker decisions. Like when it comes to singles and like not doubles at all, singles can be a bit very more strategic because like you're not so much you're thinking like a couple turns ahead and stuff like that. So you can't really make like very impulsive like quick moves because that can literally cost you the game. And like it's just it is really disappointing that we don't actually like I'm fond of them having like the standard time limit of 20 minutes. I'm fine with that if that's just their standard. But we should at least have the ability to kind of like be able to change the timer. Like the fact that we're kind of locked into one thing is honestly really disappointing because it really alienates a lot of people from not wanting to battle because I know yeah singles and like smoking isn't the official format and stuff, but it really does discourage us from actually playing in the game and actually trying to get into the meta. And also it also kind of like especially like content creators like there isn't really much content. I mean, to be honest, because like most people, when you think of like a showdown video, you think of like the showdown salt videos. But
All
like
right.
some people do actually want to post like content with like the animations and stuff like that, where it's like it's a better viewing experience. Because like, in all honesty, like watching showdown battles is not really that great of a viewing experience for an audience. So it's like I really do think it really does hurt the content creators who actually do want to provide like competitive content. It's like I want to provide competitive content, but it's like with the timer thing, I'm kind of like it's not really making me want to dip my foot into the meta. And again, I mean, Showdown I do feel is superior in terms of like the overall level of competition. But when you can't initially start off playing on the Switch, it kind of like it kind of widens that gap between people actually want to get more into competitive and stuff like that because it's like it's just they don't have that initial thing to kind of get them started, so they just are like, nah, timer's too long, it's discouraging, and they don't really want to jump in the showdown because they haven't really had that practice on the 3DS, or not 3DS, the Switch initially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's one of those things where I feel like it really does hinder the community. But again, I understand like they're more catered towards VGC. I mean, that's just how it is. But it's just like I definitely think that they should really work on some of those things. And then Frank touched on the glitches. Like, yeah, every single game has had glitches. Everything has kind of had different things that we can exploit and stuff like that. But I really do. One of the things I do kind of feel like that kind of gets missed when we do have all these glitches. But I know some people were upset about them. But the community was really strong when we had all these glitches.
Yep.
Like there were so many people. They're just getting stuff from somebody else. They'll clone 30 of it, and they're spreading the wealth. They're giving it to other people, and that's something that like you really don't see in the community a lot. Like you see a lot more like selfishness and stuff like that. Like you don't really see as many people who are willing to just randomly distribute out a bunch of stuff to people. So I really did appreciate seeing stuff like that. It's kind of like when back in Sword and Shield when we had the hack raids like times 999 items,
All right.
you saw the community thriving. I mean, yeah, there was definitely a lot of toxicity with that, but you saw the community thriving, trying to get these items, and they're getting the items like they're helping other people out and stuff like that. So it's like, again, it's one of those things where some of these glitches and hacks and stuff like that, people don't really think on the back end of like how much this stuff actually does help. But it is definitely oversight issue on Ilka's part. They didn't know about this, but I kind of look at it like this: is like you probably have a team with Ilka. They maybe have like let's say 200 people testing the games. Now they just had a couple million people test the games. So it's like it's easier to kind of find bugs and stuff when you have so many different people doing different experiences in the game to kind of like exploit it pretty much. So it's one of those things where I think bugs and glitches are naturally going to happen. It's just I really do feel like if it just I think for me the glitches kind of like I've said it so many times we kind of flew a little too close to the sun. When you saw like people who clone like a whole box in like 10 seconds and like you could like make stuff shiny and like level up stuff quick, I think that's when it kind of got like a little overboard. Like again, I mean it's your game, do what you want with it.
All
I
right.
do not care. But when it's like when it's kind of going from like you can literally clone like so much in so little time and like there's all these videos coming out every single day and I mean not gonna blame the content creators who posting stuff out because again they're trying to help people out to help other people out. It's just you poke the bear enough, I mean the bear's gonna wake up and the bear's not gonna be happy. So I think that's kind of how things happen with that. But I mean hopefully I mean with every game there's gonna be a glitch or some kind of hacking method that kind of it benefits the general public more than anything. So again, y'all know me. I have no issue with hacking and jamming. I mean, do what you want with your games. I mean, if and hey, use it to your advantage to help out the community. I mean, that's how I feel about it. But I mean, I think what else did Frank touch on the soundtrack? I mean, I pretty much agree with him. I love me some Lake Verity. I
Yep.
will play that song over and over again. There's like a couple YouTube videos where it's like an hour of like straight of like Lake Verity. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. But yeah, let me kick it back to Frank.
Yeah, and then just to wrap up I wanted to make a point in regards to the Wi-Fi battling. Um, I just, to me, with the timer, and I'm gonna say this, one more time before we kick it to another topic. If the battle timer is 20 minutes, I mean, I'm sorry, if this is not the official competitive scene for the current generation of Pokemon, then why the hell is there a timer to begin with? Why?
Okay, I didn't think of that. That's
And
right. That's
there
completely
is no
right.
there is no ranked battles. There is no seasons. There's no leaderboards. There's none of that in this game. All that is on still on Sword and Shield. Why is this in this game? Why is it? Why do we still have the timer here? I understand a timer if it's on a ranked ladder, but the problem is we don't have that in this game. So why was the timer necessary here? I mean, if anything, if you really cared, and you say it's a faithful remake, because if I recall from previous from the original games, the timer was an hour long. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't even think there was a timer way back then.
I
But
don't think there was either.
why make it 20 minutes if there is no if it's supposed to be a faithful remake? There's no ranked battles. I just don't understand from their perspective. And then we're gonna talk about. I guess the next topic is the what I just touched on right now, the faithful remake aspect of this game. Me personally, I think they should have remade Platinum. As simple as that. Platinum
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
Platinum was the it was the Pokemon experience for fourth generation. It was the ultimate experience. If you guys recall, Platinum fixed up a lot of the slow and steady issue with Diamond and Pearl they had, because obviously those games were the first mainline games of the DS era. But Platinum fixed up a bunch of stuff. It gave us a bigger access to national decks, which obviously this was solved with the Ground Underground. Um, we unfortunately did not get a Battle Frontier, which I think if we had a Battle Frontier in this modern era, I think this game would have gone like stupid crazy with the Pokemon community. Instead, we have a Battle Tower from Diamond and Pearl, which I'll touch briefly on that soon. I I do wish that they remade Platinum or remastered or remade yeah, Platinum. Like I said, it's the ultimate experience for those who have never played fourth generation games. Um, and I feel like them saying it's a faithful remake. And I know I made a video about this a couple months ago, and people got on my ass about, well, you're wrong. Just because they say it's gonna be a faithful remakes or faithful remaster, it doesn't mean it's gonna be one-on-one. And then literally this game came out, and it's literally almost a one-on-one of the original
Pretty
games,
much.
which I think it's a lousy excuse. I'm gonna take it a bit of a notch, but I'm gonna say it's a lousy excuse to just cut corners and not add new content to the games. Now we had stuff like the Pokemon hideaways in the Grand Underground, but basically that's just the wild area in a smaller area, pretty much.
Yeah.
Then they added, they updated move pools, but again, it's Pokemon. Of course, they need to have added move pools. Um, and then you had the National Dex. The National Dex is the same. We didn't end up getting new Pokemon. We just ended up getting, just updated models of all the 490 Pokemon that are on right now, minus the ones that haven't officially been released yet, like Darkrai, Arceus, and then Celebi is not in this game either, because I don't know why. We don't have access to Pokemon Home yet, which makes sense because obviously if we had access to Pokemon Home, then this game we can literally finish this entire game in like 5 minutes if we really cared.
Yeah.
But in regards to the Faithful remake, I just wanted to touch about the comparison of two eggs. I literally wanted to touch about the comparison of the remakes. Let's start off with Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Fire Red. They brought on a full-on Pokedex, numbers 1 through 386. They brought on the Sevi Islands, if you guys remember the post game of Fire Red and Leaf Green. They added a separate storyline. You can catch and hunt a lot of Pokemon, but they added basically they added a small region to Fire Red and Leaf Green. And then you have Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which arguably those are the greatest games of all time in the Pokemon franchise. A lot of people have high remarks and praise for those games because they managed to fit in essentially, two regions in one game, and they made everything upgraded for the DS era. And those games were phenomenal. It was smooth. Um, it's basically the golden standard of Pokemon games. And then you have the next set of remake games, ORAS. Now, Black and White 2 are not remakes. Those are just sequels to Black and White. So we're not going to talk about Black and White 2. Instead, we're going to talk about ORAS, where ORAS had an upgraded Dex Nav. We had the Mirage Island. We've had ways of capturing legendary Pokemon. We had the Latios and Latias flying feature, which was really great. It was a really great immersive um, feature of the games. We had updated Pokemon with Mega Evolutions. We've had a full-on Pokedex. All that was great. And then you have this game. What exactly did they add? What exactly is the bright feature that stands out from the rest of the remakes? And my answer, honestly, is nothing. I mean, if you're talking about the Pokemon hideaways, like I mentioned, it's just a small mini wild area, but that was already in Sword and Shield. If you're talking about updated Pokemon models, well, they're just basically copying and pasting from Sword and Shield again. You're talking about online features? Yeah, the online features should be a thing in all Pokemon games. They didn't add new content to the game. And I think that's the biggest problem in considering these remakes being compared to other Pokemon games. They didn't really add anything new per se. Yeah, sure, we got old Pokemon back with upgraded move pools. Obviously, the fairy typing is a big difference in this game compared to the previous original Diamond and Pearl, iterations. But they didn't really add anything new. Why is it called a remake when there's literally zero effort being made into giving us something new? If you care about it being a faithful remake, that's fine. But unlike the other remakes, there wasn't really anything new that makes me want to buy this game at full price.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Cause like I get that they're like, yeah, it's gonna be a one for one remake, but I mean, they've kind of set a standard with their remakes and remasters, which I think that this one, I mean, I do enjoy this game. It's just that this one did not live up to the standard that had been set because there was so much potential. I mean, I know like when me and Frank did the like we saw like the trailers and we were like talking about what we wish for the game, like there's so much potential of stuff they could have done. I mean, they could have turned the raids, I mean not the raids, the underground into the basically another wild area with raids and stuff like that. They could have like implemented YCOM. They could have really done a lot to really make these games like more so in line with what they've done in the past. But it just kind of feels like they when they said a one for one remake, they're like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So it is. I mean, they stayed somewhat true to what they said, but at the same time, it's like they didn't really stay true to what they've done in the past, which is what really is disappointing in the game. But like, it's still just. I mean, like I said, I still enjoyed it. It's just I really do wish that they did actually add like something more to kind of make it more so like how Oraz actually felt more like a sequel to X and Y, right? And they kind of incorporated and like interweaved it and stuff like that. So I really do feel like that the potential was there for them to kind of do that, but they were like, nah, we're not doing that. We're just gonna give you guys exactly what you played 10 years ago with a little bit of like different stuff added.
Right, and then obviously, you have those people who say, well, these games are going to sell high regardless. These games are going to sell millions upon millions of copies. And the biggest issue that I have with people saying, well, you know, regardless whether this game is shit or not, it's still going to be selling a lot of copies, indicating that it's a good game. Well, the quality of the games or the number of sales doesn't necessarily equal to or doesn't equate to the quality of the games. For example, Sword and Shield sold almost 20 million copies on its own since its release. But what people don't understand is when it comes to Pokemon, obviously those numbers are inflated because one, Pokemon is arguably one of the top franchises from the Nintendo publisher. With along with Zelda, Mario, Kirby, Smash Brothers, and that's okay. The thing with Pokemon, however, is you gotta understand something when it comes to the economics of game sales and whether they transition to quality of the games. If you pre-order this game and you do not cancel your pre-order 1 week prior to its release, the moment it becomes midnight or 9 o'clock wherever you're from, that pre-order kicks in, it stays on your game, and it counts as one sale. So those numbers can be a little bit, skewed because those numbers take into account pre-orders. If you pre-order the game, you essentially gave them a sale, a full-on sale of the game. And then I remember when I made that video of this is Pokemon's last chance, a lot of people saying, well, Sword and Shield sold 20 million copies. It has to be a good game, right? And no, that's not how it works. If you pre-order this game, you bought this game, and if you played even 1 minute of the game, you gave them $60 of your money to them. And in this game in particular, I know people are gonna defend this game because it's fourth generation. This is the baby. This is the golden baby that transitioned during the golden era of Pokemon. And just like to say that right now before people get all confused and all that stuff, the number of sales of a game doesn't necessarily mean the game's good. I mean, we have a lot of games that are in the Nintendo library that are really phenomenal and they deserve those numbers. But then there are games like this where, me personally, I don't think this game in particular, I don't think it's horrible. It's definitely not horrible. It's decent. It's good. It's worth my time to play these games. Yeah, of course. I don't think they're exceptional because if they were exceptional, they would have remade Platinum. They would have made this game a lot better. They would have added more quality upgrades. They could have given us a full-on game with online capabilities, but alas, they didn't. So with that, I personally think the games are good. I don't think they're exceptional. Do I recommend playing this game? Yeah, of course, because if you to be honest with you, if this is your first time playing Generation 4, you should be picking up these games because these games have a lot of not just a nostalgic factor, which they were banking on it. Hopefully, they were going to sell millions of copies just based on a nostalgia reach. But these games, you got to understand, these games were the reason why Pokemon is kind of the way it evolved over the years. This is the grassroots of Pokemon games in particular. With they brought up the DS engine with these games, and these games now, of course, they're not up to par because of the people who are in charge of developing these games. But
hey, my bad, not to interrupt you. They just revealed Lucy and Voltorb. It's electric and grass.
oh, wow, isn't that the first time it's electric and we have electric and grass? I think it is.
Say yes.
Interesting. Well, I mean, we can.
My bad.
Yeah, but we can talk about Legends Arceus at towards the end of the review because I think this game obviously ties into. It's supposed to be the warm-up game of Legends Arceus, but why? Why is it a warm-up game? If you know how important these games are for the Pokemon community, the fact that they've been waiting for this game particularly for so long, and then all of a sudden it's a sacrificial game for another game that we don't know what's it about technically because we don't have any expectations for that game yet. I just don't get it. I just feel like if you want these games, if you want the reputation of the Pokemon community to be really good, just make good games. Just make games that everyone can enjoy. Don't put any limitation on these games. Don't give us a battle timer. Don't give us a limited post-game experience. Don't give us rehashed bullshit with these games. Just give us something that we all enjoy, that doesn't hinder features, that doesn't exclude audiences. Everyone's gonna buy this game, of course. I mean, that's always the motto when it comes to Pokemon games. It's those games. It's one of those franchises that it's gonna sell millions of copies regardless. It's been happening since its inception. But these games, I do feel like a lot of these recent Pokemon games, and started with Generation 6, these games always felt like, yeah, they're good. In hindsight, they're good games. But as you see later down the road, I mean, for example, like Pokemon X, which is obviously 8 years old. Those games in retrospective are horrible because they lack certain features. They lack an identity. They lack something that makes me want to replay these games ever again. And usually, I'm not the type of guy to replay Pokemon games. I go through it one time, and that's it. And moving on. I really hope, you know, that they understand that Game Freak and Ilka gotta understand. Like, yes, the Pokemon formula, it's an RPG game. You know, that's not really gonna change because it's an RPG game. It's been a successful business model for them, but I do think hopefully with Legends Arceus that formula changes, and with that change, it it makes people fall in love with Pokemon again.
Yeah, and kind of like to same thing as like Frank's point. Like, yeah, sales do not equal a good game. I mean, I can say that I guess if you haven't ever played Gen 4 before, and I think this is where kind of like perspective kind of kicks into. If you never played Gen 4 before, and if you haven't really, if this is your first like Pokemon game, I mean, you're gonna think this game is great. But it's just like for those of us who played before, I mean, we're kind of like, it's kind of lacking, and it's just all this and stuff like that. So I think that's where it becomes like more of a perspective kind of thing because everyone kind of comes into it with different viewpoints. I just honestly wish that like Nintendo, Game Freak, or whoever, when they do make games in the future, they do try to make sure that they make sure the games are quality and not just trying to be like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be new for somebody else, so it doesn't really matter. And I think that's kind of, I mean, I've said that before. I mean, that's kind of, and I think that's honestly the mindset that they have is like, we can put out a game, it's going to sell no matter what because it's new to somebody. Which I mean, as a business model, I mean, technically that is pretty effective if you can send out an inferior product and it's going to outsell the last inferior product no matter what. I mean, it's kind of reasonable that they would do that, but I just feel like a company should kind of really have more so integrity into them creating content and games for people because at the end of the day, I mean, like you still want to it's kind of like you want to have a sense of pride that you actually did this and not just look at the sales numbers because like Frank was saying, I mean, this game is definitely very forgettable because there's so many features that are missing from this game. But I definitely think that like Legends Arceus has the potential to kind of like re-energize the franchise in like a different direction because you'll have like these overworld games that we've wanted for so long,
Right.
and it's like I do have really high hopes for the Legends franchise. Like I really do hope that it becomes like the franchise we like Legends Lugia, Legends Kyogre, like Legends um something like where it just becomes like this franchise. It's like it's not a main series game, but it kind of like it gives you that feel if like you played Coliseum and stuff like that and Gale of Darkness, where it's like you actually feel like this is more of a like an actual like like not thrown together, but an actual structured video game. Like there's like it's a single player video game where it's like it's more structured and stuff like that. So I definitely hope that that's the case. I mean, I've heard rumors that maybe like Legends Arceus might have some kind of co-op elements like Monster Hunter. I mean, those are all rumors. I mean, I'm hoping that's true. I mean, that would definitely be great because I mean, I've got friends that play Monster Hunter and they enjoy just playing together with each other, getting in a call, and I think that's one of the elements that like I think that's missing. That I think that like when Sword and Shield had raids, that's one of the things that really kept it going because people do enjoy playing with each other. You people enjoy being able to hey call up a friend, let's join in a call and let's go kick some ass. So I think that is definitely one of the elements missing from this game a bit. But well, I mean they have the underground, but I don't think that has really popped off as much as like raids did with like Gen with Sword and Shield.
Right. And yeah, it does make sense. Like, Legends Arceus has that kind of expectation. I mean, if you look at Pokemon on the Switch, we had Let's Go, we've had Sword and Shield, we've had other Pokemon spin-off games. We had Mystery Dungeon, which was like the biggest Pokemon, spin-off game there on the Switch. Obviously, Pokemon when it first came out on the Switch, I think it was Let's Go. I think that's the first big title. Everybody is trying to compare Pokemon to other franchises, particularly like Super Mario Odyssey. I guess games, I should say. Super Mario Odyssey. Breath of the Wild. Games that pretty much renovated the old archaic formula of the franchises, and they pretty much were successful because they dared themselves, they challenged themselves to make their games great, to showcase as to why these games or why the franchises have the reputation. When it comes to Pokemon, however, it just to me feels like they're still banking on the hopes that we as the people, or we as the consumers, expect these products to be good. In reality, they're decent at best. They're not jaw dropping. They're not making me want to buy games at full price because they keep using the same thing over and over again. And I guess, I made a comment about this on one of my giveaways, but I think the reason why a lot of the Pokemon community has such a negative, not, I mean, I guess, yes, a negative and critical opinion of these games is because we grew up with these games. We've played these games when we were, we were basically born. The Pokemon franchise has been around since probably when I was 2 years old. And growing up playing these games, all these little, features, all these little critical point of views, that wasn't there when we were kids because the Pokemon at that time was fresh. Pokemon was a innovative topic. It was an idea that we grew up with, and it's been through a lot of iterations of Nintendo consoles. We had the Game Boy Color, we had the Game Boy Advance, the SP, the DS, 3DS, and then of course we had the GameCube because there were some Pokemon games on the GameCube like Coliseum and Gale of Darkness. But now we're adults. And now, once we buy these games as an adult, our opinions now become more critical because now we see the flaws of these games. As a kid, you didn't give a shit about that. You're asking your mom and dad when Diamond and Pearl came out. You're asking your mom and dad, can I get a Switch and can I get a copy of these games? They don't really matter what these games had inside. We as kids, we didn't give a shit about that. But as adults, our opinions, they change over time because we're the ones who are buying these games now. It's not our parents buying these games. I hope your parents aren't buying these games if you're like 26. But it's just that now we as the consumer have an opinion. And obviously, people always wanted a mature Pokemon game. That's been around. That idea or that want and need has been around for quite a while. And it makes sense as to why they don't want to do that because they want Pokemon to be a kid's game. It always has been a kid's game. But we as an adults, when we formulate our opinion, we look back into the games that we fell in love in the first place, and we're wondering, well, why are these games not that great in our opinion? Well, it's because at the end, it's just a kid's game. And we as an adults, our opinions mature, we become more critical because, you know what, we could be playing other games right now. I mean, shit, Halo just dropped yesterday. We could be playing that right now. Or heck, there might be other Nintendo Switch franchises that are doing phenomenally good. There's other RPGs like SMT5 that just came out recently. And I think with Pokemon, they're just saying, you know what? As a business model, they're doing phenomenal. I mean, obviously, they are the most richest media franchise in the entire history of video games, which is crazy. But as an adult, our opinions become more mature. We understand that, hey, we can play other games if we want. But Game Freak isn't going to make those changes for us because, again, this game is technically supposed to be meant for kids. I guess I think we covered a lot. I will say, well, we haven't talked about the post game. Post game is the same, pretty much as the original games. The Battle Tower. Well, I've played plenty of the Battle Tower myself. I've managed to get a 105 classic win streak in Battle Tower. I have a 42 win streak in Masters. In terms of completionist, I have all five. My true completionist goal was to get 5 stars black trainer card, which I did as of this past weekend. I will say the post game, it's good to hear the soundtrack of post game because post game is where now the level of difficulty is strange. Because with these games in particular, you're not facing like completely strong ass Pokemon or trainers. But it's funny. I guess this is a gameplay issue. Um, it's kind of strange that the entire region of Sinnoh, the level difficulty, and with the EXP share, which was a controversial topic when it was first mentioned, um, they kind of like handheld you, they handhold you, they coddle you with your EXP because you're fighting a lot of trainers. But as soon as you reach the Elite Four, now the difficulty level spikes like tremendously, almost twofold because you have to make sure your Pokemon are not too overleveled, which I don't think that's ever been an issue because me personally, I lost against Cynthia because her Pokemon team is actually EV trained. It actually has battle competitive sets, so I didn't have a problem with the design of the champion. But in the overall picture, is why is the game so easy, and then all of a sudden, when it comes to Elite Four, there's a huge difficulty spike, and then post game, the spike goes back down because by that time, after you beat Cynthia, your Pokemon are in the 60s or in the low 70s. I'm not really fond of that when it comes to game design. I feel like, hey, yes, you should make the region a little more difficult, not too crazy to the point that your Pokemon start becoming overleveled. But it shouldn't be, yeah, we're gonna give you XP share, beat all these trainers, and then boom, you know, the difficulty spike increases so much to the point that you might have a hard time dealing with the champion. And I'm never afraid of that challenge per se, but I guess it's just the game design that I'm not a fan of. If you have an XP share, it's assumed that everything's going to be easy. It's assuming that everybody in the region, the levels of the Pokemon keep going higher and higher and higher. That's fine. But now you're going up against teams with competitive EVs. Now you're going up against teams that are higher level. What's up with that? If you want the game to be hard, why don't you make all the Pokemon, or if you want to make the game more leveled, why don't you just make everyone's Pokemon EV trained with proper battle, spreads or competitive stats? But at the same time, again, like I mentioned, it's just a kids game. They're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and like I mean, I haven't even like completed the post game, but I definitely agree with Frank about like how they definitely elevated it because when I saw that we were gonna have the experience share like at the start, I was like, man, this is gonna be super easy. And then the E4 is just like it makes you you're like, yeah, you got the experience share all this time, and then as soon as you get to the E4, it's like bam, like they're super strong. You gotta level up some more. So it's like it definitely like caught you for a surprise, but I mean, I haven't played past being the Elite Four, but from what he's saying, like with the level kind of going back down, it is disappointing because you kind of want the ride to keep on going up and like keep getting stronger and stronger. But definitely, I feel like the experience share as you play through the game is very much needed because one of the things I kind of forgot about with like Diamond and Pearl is just how many trainer battles there are.
Yeah.
Like compared to Sword and Shield, there are so many. It gets to the point where you're like, damn, another one, another one, another one, and it's like it's a good thing because I mean, Sword and Shield it kind of lacked like trainer battles, whereas this game it really does like kind of amplify it, which is it's great to see because it's like you're actually it's you feel like your hand is being held, but your hand is being held to get it placed on a hot stove, if that makes sense, because
Right. Yeah.
you're literally about to go and fight the E4, who, if it weren't for the experience shares, you'd be very much under level compared to getting there. So it definitely did kind of like catch me for a surprise.
Right. And I mean, like I said, I'm up for a challenge, but that kind of flaw in game design is like, man, do I really have to face every single trainer in the region?
Yeah,
Can I just explore a region in peace without having to battle so many freaking trainers? And at the same time, like I'm kind of glad it did add an EXP share because I didn't want all my entire team to be under leveled to the point that the E4 and champion, especially Cynthia, become unbearable. And it's like, okay, you just ruined my experience because you just handheld me the entire time. Um, More post game stuff. We did have a new, I guess, quote unquote, place called Ramanas Park. Ramanas Park. It pretty much replaced the Pal Park. And if you guys don't remember what the Pal Park was, basically it's a place where you transfer 6 Pokemon from your Game Boy Advance cartridges like Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, Fire, and Leaf Green into Diamond and Pearl, and you're able to catch those Pokemon in that PAL Park. Well, that got replaced by Ramana's Park, and this was a lousy ass feature. And what I mean by that is, again, what separates this remake from other remakes? The one thing that I would say, if you want to have a successful remake, just have something that makes it give a unique identity. Ravenous Park is essentially the Mirage Islands from Generation 6. It is essentially the Ultra Space wormholes from Generation 7. It is especially the same thing as the Dynamax adventures that we've had implemented in the Sword and Shield DLC. They didn't really add anything. You're just going there, and obviously, in order for you to access the legendary Pokemon, you need to go to the Grand Underground and hunt for the mysterious shards, the small and XL, whatever. There's two different type of shards, and just size. And then depending on the sizes, you can exchange them for slates, which give you access to different legends. And then as soon as you beat the legends or capture them, you get their statues for the underground, which is pretty cool, because the statues do have a very important effect in regards to the type of Pokemon you encounter in the Grand Underground. In regards to one of the areas, which is the Distortion Room, not World, Room, you get to face a level 100 Giratina, not capturable, which is a bit disappointing because yes, you can still capture Giratina in Turnback Cave, which is right by Lake Valor, but it's cool. I mean, I guess it's not really cool where you face a level 100 Pokemon you cannot capture, especially considering the difficulty of the game, quote unquote. It is disappointing, like I said, that the Distortion World did not make its way into these games because one of the defining features of Generation 4 was Platinum. And guess what Platinum had? The Distortion World. The Platinum also had various storyline details enhanced from Diamond and Pearl, and it's disappointing that they didn't make its way into these games. Like, I just don't understand. We have there's a place where you can literally change your Rotom forms in this game that was not accessible to Diamond and Pearl because they were introduced in Platinum. Again, if you're gonna add Platinum features or you're gonna attempt to give this game identities of Platinum, just remake Platinum in general. And I guess with this Distortion Room, it's somewhat disappointing, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of the, what if they made Platinum scenario? What if they actually put in more effort into these games? What if they decided to reinvent the storyline? What if they decided to rip out the post story and just input a battle frontier? And and with Ramana's Park, it just seems like, again, this is not a new thing. It's a new location in the game. It's a replacement of an old location. But again, it's another feature and the same iteration for the past 4 generations or 3 generations of Pokemon games, where you just go into a Pokemon place, or a place in a Pokemon game, you just capture legendaries. I feel like, personally, for me, if they wanted to enhance that experience, give these Pokemon a storyline. Kind of like how Shaman and Darkrai are in this game, where they have their small storylines. Shaman is event is pretty much, you're essentially opening up a new part of the Sinnoh region. Darkrai is a key item that allows you to access an accessible room that lets you travel to New Moon Island. Arceus is the Hall of Origin. That's something new. But with the legendaries that are not native to these games, they just, we'll just do a room, nothing important. We're not giving it new battle theme music. We're not rehashing any remasters of the Pokemon, and just, let them be. Compared to someone like Oras, where, hey, it's Mirage Islands, sure, or whatever. Hoopa's like, what's it called? Loops, time loops, whatever the fuck they're called, loop gates.
I think so.
Yeah, the Pokemon, you face them in a typical fashion, but they gave each Pokemon music themes that gives it its unique identity. But in these games, they just don't do it. They give a Legends, like a Pokemon Legends battle remake, but they don't change the background. They don't change the area where they're at. And and there's just massive potential, and you guys are probably catching up by now. But the overall thing with these games, yeah, these games are good, but there's a lot of massive potential that did not live up to the expectations. And while I do think this game in particularly is good, if you were going to compare this game to the massive hype and expectations, it is slightly disappointing overall.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. All I really had to say on that point is just like it definitely should have just been a remake of Platinum. In all honesty, like, but overall, I think they're pretty decent games, but like you're definitely going to end up putting it down after a while.
Yeah, and obviously, Legends Arceus is right there. Everyone's gonna be playing that game.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone really cared about these games. I think, I mean, people did care about these games. I mean, there's no mistake in that. But I feel like these games should have been released. I think honestly, it should have been released. I would say as soon as Sword and Shield's final DLC was dropped, maybe give it about a couple months after, and I think that would have been the perfect time to release these games. That way, you can start warming people up. Give it time to pretty much let the game develop on its own. Give it the features it needs that it can maintain its longevity in the long run. Um, Unlike these games, yeah, once Legends Arceus drops, people might forget this game. People might still play it, but everyone's gonna transition to Legends Arceus because that's the new thing. Now they're tweaking the formula, and hopefully it's for the very good. Um, but yeah, I think that covered everything. I don't think there's anything else I can think of personally. Oh, I think I read somewhere why that people. I think some people were saying that the game corner did not exist in this game. Let me tell you something. The reason why it's not there is because if they were to put any type of gambling in Pokemon, which they have done so with Emerald, with the game slot, or pretty much I think generations 1 through 4 had that, the original games. Um, the reason why they're not there is because if they did put it in the games would have to be rated. Um, I think it has to be rated as technically they would have to be rated as mature because gambling obviously it's a very risky topic to put
yeah,
in
it's a
games.
pretty hot topic right now in games, so it's like I feel that's probably why they aren't there because of just like ratings and just like if you know like about like something like the YouTube and Twitch drama and like all the other stuff in video games, gambling has been like a big like hot topic issue, so they probably just did it to avoid that.
Yeah, and obviously they're not gonna do anything that would want to hurt their sales. So basically since Generation 5, there's no gambling like corners or game corners slots whatsoever. And obviously people want that in the game, but I highly doubt that they'll ever put that in the game or that kind of shit in the game ever again because it just messes with the ratings. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about the super contest pretty quickly. I did manage to complete a master's rank contest. These contests are a lot easier than the original games because in the original games you actually had to think like the moves that you use could affect the judges' scoring. But in this game, the majority of your points are gonna come from a rhythm. It's basically a rhythm competition. If you can just hit the button at the note at the same time, you're basically graded higher. It's a lot easier than the original games. Making poffins, I don't think. I mean, they're not that hard. Obviously, just choose the right berries. It's not that, complex. Um, Battle Tower. Battle Tower. I mean, I kind of touched that on a little bit. Battle Tower Masters is quite challenging in regards to choosing the best 3 Pokemon to basically go toe to toe against some of the most bullshit strategies ever in the history of Pokemon. You're going up against Pokemon that use Double Team, Sheer Cold, Fissure, Horn Drill, Guillotine, those one-hit KO moves. Every other Pokemon is literally has Bright Powder or Lax Incense, evasive items. um, I've live streamed my classic on my channel if you guys want to check that out. But I think that's probably the biggest like in terms of difficulty in the game is it's always going to be the battle tower any type of facility. It's always been like that. In terms of items in this game, you can easily get battle points like very quickly. If I was you, I'd probably invest in a couple of ability capsules or patches. If you beat certain trainers in the Masters rank tower, such as Cynthia or Palmer or the gym leaders, you get the nature mints, and you also get the gold and the regular bottle caps. Um, so if you're a person who wants to have competitive Pokemon on the spot, I would highly recommend grinding through the battle tower. It's a pretty fun experience. It might be, a pain in the ass because you can lose on some bullshit move missing, or you get hit with a 1-hit KO move. Um, but if you really want a Pokemon challenge in this game, I highly recommend checking out the battle tower. In regards to the Grand Underground, I highly recommend playing this game or the Grand Underground online, because there's a specific feature in the Grand Underground that activates once you and all your online buddies collect 40 Digletts. Once that happens, you have a 4-minute timer in which you go out and you get to do two things. If you go into the in one of the Pokemon hideaways with the Diglett timer already like starting, the odds of you finding a shiny Pokemon gets cut in half, from 1 in 4,000 to 1 in 2,000 essentially. Another feature or another benefit is statues. Now, collecting statues in the underground allows you to increase the odds of you finding a Pokemon of a specific type. For example, if my entire secret base is covered in normal type statues, then the odds of me finding a normal type Pokemon in the area that I'm looking in goes up dramatically. And so, with the Diglett timer, however, you guarantee for every excavation spot a shiny. I guess it's a shiny statue or a green statue of a Pokemon statue. That boosts the benefits of finding Pokemon of your type liking very quickly. So I guess that works there. But again, this is like one of those online features where you cannot interact with the trainers in the Grand Underground. They're just there, kind of like in Sword and Shield's wild area, where they're just, you see them on your screen, but you can't really interact with them at all. You can't ask them for battle. You cannot ask them for trade. Again, another missed opportunity with online. And then, I guess, I don't know if there's other stuff in this game. We do see a return of specific characters like Jasmine, who I'm pretty sure Jasmine was in the original games. I might be tripping, but again, why are you gonna put a trainer there if they're not? They're basically, Jasmine's there. Hey, I can see the Elite Four from here. Yada yada. Pokemon League, whatever. It's like, okay, I can see it too. Like, bitch, of course I can see this shit. It's right there. It's in front of me. I do like that you can reface gym leaders. That was the really cool feature in Generation 3. The fact that you get to finally compete against them with battle-ready teams. That's pretty cool. They're higher leveled. Your rivals and Dawn or whoever you named the female rival, they have 2 iterations of battle-ready teams, and they increase levels. I think after the 3rd match, so that's pretty cool. I think overall, we forgot to talk about the biggest feature, which I'm gonna put on my screen right now, and it's this little thing. It's the Pokétch. Now, the Pokétch was very effective with Nintendo DS because it felt like it definitely made the gaming experience more immersive, because I can use this to count my steps. I can use this to pretty much see my Pokemon, when they're ready to hatch, or there's a Pokemon that needs happiness, whatever. You can use the item dowsing machine. You can pretty much check who's in the nursery. You can check how many Pokemon you got. You have a count, which unfortunately doesn't work because if you exit the screen, it resets. You have a timer. You have basically a analog clock or digital watch. You have this map area which allows you to track roaming Pokemon, which unfortunately there's only 2 in this game. Flip of a coin. But you have a calendar. You have a touchscreen where you can literally draw stuff, which is pretty cool. Although it's kind of weird to do it in docked mode because you have to use your controller and all of that. And then You have a spinner. You have the Poke Radar count to see what's your chain, your current chain right now. You have a Snorlax timer. I don't know why the hell you would need this in this game now because it's kind of useless. And then you have the Kecleon, which allows you to change the colors of your watch. Um, my biggest thing, and then you obviously have hidden moves. This is how you access hidden moves as well. Um, my biggest thing with the Pokédex is it was so effective in the DS era because it was a two-screen. It was definitely made for a second screen.
Yeah.
Not only that you can use the Pokédex while you are basically, let's say for example, biking to hatch eggs, you can use it on the fly. You can use your stylus, which was obviously again, it was a very immersive experience. And essentially it was more useful on the DS. In this game, however, the only reason why you ever gonna use the Pokédex to finish the story is by simply accessing only two features. One is the dowsing machine, which allows you to track hidden items, and you also have the HMs. I feel like the Pokédex, unfortunately, like the way it looks at it, like I'm looking at it right now on my screen, and the way that it looks right now is such a hindrance because one, it blocks off 1/16 of your or 1/12 of your entire screen. Two, I have to literally go into my Pokédex, stop what I'm doing, access my Pokédex by using a simple button, and just do whatever I need to do. So it basically kind of stops your experience of playing this game. And I feel like, yeah, they kind of should have made the Pokédex more where you can do two things at once. I want to ride my bike and change my Pokédex page at the same time. And that's pretty much it. I don't think the Pokédex was definitely a hit on this game. I think it was definitely not implemented correctly in this game. Obviously, we don't have two screens on our Switch, but I feel like the Pokédex should have been much more immersive in regards to the fourth gen experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I really like when I saw the Pokédex, I opened it once and then I just never used it again. It definitely is something that was meant for the DS era because that's when I used it. But I just it was a feature I just really didn't really see any need for, to be honest. Like there's so many features in that game that I feel like again, like I said with like the chibi models, they just didn't translate over into this new game.
Right, and I remember reading certain articles saying that they literally ripped the coding of the original games and they just put it in the game and they all they did was just updated a couple models and move pulls and all that. So again, this just sounds like an excuse for cutting corners. They didn't want to add new stuff to it, even though I feel like this game was the game to add more features that can just make the Pokemon experience, great again. Especially when they definitely wanted to make these games just so we can get hit by nostalgia. And I mean, when I play this game, I was pretty deep in the nostalgia realm with these games because we all grew up playing this game. We all wanted to play these games again. My old ass is not gonna get onto my original Diamond and Pearl files and play on my 3DS, which I think it can't even register my my Diamond copy anymore because it's just that old. I mean, you gotta bear in mind the original games are 15 years old. So obviously a lot of DS systems, which of course now the 3DS is now discontinued by Nintendo. So it's now even harder to access these games. And in my opinion, I'll take it a step further. Like if you really, really want to play the fourth gen experience, I mean, buy yourself a copy of Platinum. Buy yourself a 3DS or a DS that can play it. But again, now because the way Nintendo works, they discontinued making copies of Platinum. They discontinued making the Nintendo 3DS. So now that accessibility gets harder. And the best experience for me, if you want to play these games, you got to get an emulator for free somewhere. You can play it on your PC. And it's just like, that's just the excuse. Hey, we're going to give you $60. you can play these games on your Nintendo Switch, or you get an emulator from God knows where, from whatever black market website. You get a ROM of this game, and you can play Platinum on there. And you might have, and I've seen a lot of people review these games in particular, and they said, hey, if you play Platinum right now and you compared it side by side with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Platinum's gonna give you a better experience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just the overall, the game is just, it's okay. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like the more that like we've talked about the game, it's like the more I'm kind of like my kind of like perception of it is like kind of went down a bit. But it's overall it's okay. But I still stand by what I said earlier. Is like if you've never played any other game before, I mean, definitely pick it up and play it. To be honest, if you played the originals, I would. I mean, I'll say that you probably won't find this as enjoyable, but it's definitely I'd still purchase it. You know.
Yeah, of course. And like I said in the very beginning, I don't think that these games are horrible. They're definitely not horrible at all. I mean, the games are good. What they were trying to do with these games, obviously it was good. It's not exceptional because they didn't really add anything new to make it worth my time. Obviously, I'm patching freaking eggs right now because it's definitely worth my time. So I'm kind of contradicting myself with that. But what I say is, for those people who've been waiting for this game so much, you know, whether it's for nostalgia or whether it's for the expectations, it kind of misses the mark in regards to what does this game bring new to the franchise? What kind of content is going to be worth my while before I dump this game in to the back of my closet for Legends Arceus? So
Yeah, 'cause
yeah,
I'm already kind of done with the game.
yeah, and me too. Like I'm at this point, I don't need to battle here because there's no rank system. I don't need to trade because I already have everything done. I literally have my national decks complete. I've completed everything in the battle tower except for masters. I've done all the underground stuff. I've beaten the champion. I pretty much completed the post story. What else is there for me to do? And because of this game's limited capabilities, especially with online, it's kind of off-putting. So
Yeah, it kind of like kills itself to be honest. Like it's just it doesn't really give you any reason to kind of do like any kind of replay of anything at all because like I mean you're limited in what you can do to expand with the game. I mean, the hype for the game and just like overall attention will definitely spike up whenever we get like Darkrai and Shaman and stuff like that. So, however they're going to kind of like do that stuff for us, I don't know how, but that's really the only at this point anticipation with this game that's really left at right now.
yeah, and obviously there's a lot of missed potential. Like I said, the expectations and the standards are so freaking high when it comes to these games, which are considered beloved by many, if not all. Um, it kind of just falls flat when it comes to that. And then I like to end the stream by saying one thing in regards to what makes these games or what make the original games special compared to these games, the remakes. I think there was an interesting comment on one of those YouTube videos that I think they were discussing about the you know the upgraded features, quote unquote, of these games, and someone mentioned in the comment section that the reason why, or one of the main reasons why, Diamond and Pearl were so great or were so phenomenal at the time of its release, and even years later down the road, was that the art style of the game left us with a lot of imagination for a lot of us for our imagination to fill in those gaps. You know,
Oh,
the
absolutely.
reason why Pokemon is such a great franchise at its grassroots core was because yeah, the art style was always in 2D, look down camera, but that kind of made up for it by our imagination. We can think when we always talk about Pokemon as kids, we always wanted to be Pokemon trainers. We always want to be the best. We always want to have hacked Pokemon, whatever. That was our imagination, you know, wanting more and more and more. And now, I guess you can kind of say, with these games, we haven't upgraded. We have a more upgraded and improved visualization. So what is left for our imaginations with these games? We already see the upgrades for Pokemon. We already see the content that we wanted to see as we were kids. So now it gives you like an uncanny valley, I guess, effect, or uncanny effect of, well, the game's already looking great. You know, what else is there for us to imagine? Are we just here for the nostalgia, or are we just here just to run through the game, finish it in 20 hours, and then put it away? So that's just my opinion of, you know, why Pokemon is so special for a lot of us. But at the same time, I think it's Pokemon is losing in touch, in the sense that, to me now, I think every Pokemon game that gets released, it's starting to make me feel like, yeah, I'll get hit by nostalgia for a little bit, but um, it just
Then
feels
you
like,
start looking at the quality.
yeah, you start looking at the quality, you start looking at the content, you start looking at the lack of features, and you're just like, damn. It seems to me like these type of games are becoming more of a chore than just, you know, enjoying it for the for the long ride, which obviously that ride is not going to last very long once Legends Arceus drops. So I guess,
I'm ready for that.
yeah, I guess that's it in particular with these games. I don't know if you have anything else you want to discuss. We can talk about a little bit of Legends Arceus and our expectations for that game. Um, I know, I'm pretty sure they're not going to announce anything today or anytime soon because it's the Game Awards today, starting at 5
Oh
o'clock.
yeah, that is
It
right.
starts at 5 o'clock my time period, which is Pacific, so it might be like 8 o'clock Eastern. So
Yeah,
they
about
are,
an hour for me.
yeah, so actually, yeah, within an hour or so. So the Game Awards are tonight. I don't think usually Pokemon ever talks about stuff,
Nah.
which I don't think they do. They usually save it for like Pokemon Day or just random Nintendo UK or, you know, whatever region drops information trailers. We did get a reveal of the Voltorb, which I'm going to. So I haven't looked at it, but I'm going to assume it looks like the Pokeball design
Yeah, and it's
from the,
grass electric.
yeah. Grass Electric is pretty interesting, but given its Voltorb, it's probably gonna be shit. So that's just my expectation. So yeah, with Legends Arceus, literally comes out, I believe, a little bit like probably a month and some change, because I believe it's dropping in January 26th,
28.
28, 20. Yeah, so pretty much after the holidays. You know, next month we'll be having Legends Arceus. That game, if that game fails, if that game is broken, if that game does
I'm gonna
not,
cry.
there's gonna be, I will say now, there's gonna be some mass panic. There's gonna be very, very, very pissed off people. A lot of people are gonna be very pissed off if this
Yeah.
game doesn't succeed, because, hey, now it's like, hey, the Pokemon formula is not changing, and if they try to do something new, it's completely broken. It doesn't work. Now you gotta look at the Pokemon franchise as like, hey, what's going on? You guys cannot make games anymore, or, you know, what exactly is going on? So, from the rumors and from the leaks that I've read on Twitter and Reddit, whatever, I did see, or I did read that the games are going to be much more. There's going to be a lot more grind. From
Yeah.
what I've heard, completing your Pokedex doesn't necessarily mean you just catch one Pokemon and call it a day. I think you have to actually do extra tasks to complete the Pokedex entry of that game, which I guess that's welcoming. It kind of reminds me of like Breath of the Wild, where, yeah, in order for you to complete a quest, you have to do multiple things like a side quest, find this item, talk to this NPC, fight this boss, fight this enemy, and you get your rewards later on, which I'm all for it. Um, my biggest concern with the game right now is just the graphics quality. Is my Nintendo Switch going to explode while I'm playing this game? Is the frame rate still at 30 FPS, which I really hope it's not. I hope you can unlock this game at 60 frames per second, which I'm not sure because we don't have an upgraded Nintendo Switch with the updated graphics
Yeah.
card. Um, I think this game is probably going to be made for LED versions, because that's how it was advertised along with Metroid Dread and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Interesting enough. Um, yeah, I don't know if Larry, if you have any other stuff about. I mean, I'm kind of like not even looking into Legends Arceus stuff now because I don't really care at this point. I'll just wait till the game comes out. But I don't know if you have other opinions in regards to Legends
Um,
Arceus.
I mean, I'm just ready. That's pretty much it. I'm just ready, and like you said before, I'm really hoping that they don't screw this up. It's like I feel like this is gonna be so hard for them to screw up, but again, this is the Pokemon company we're talking about, so anything can happen. But other than that, I mean, that's really all I gotta say. I'm just looking forward to the leaks and stuff like that. Like, I'm probably gonna do a after now we got the reveal of Hisui and Voltorb. It does kind of confirm some leaks about some Pokemon that are coming out, so I'm definitely gonna probably post a video about that like in the next few days.
Yeah.
So, because some of those leaks are really interesting if it's definitely true.
Right. Yeah, and then once Legends Arceus drops, what's next for the franchise? What are they, are they gonna go into another generation? Because literally a month after Legends Arceus, it's Pokemon Day, and usually with
Yeah,
Pokemon Day, they reveal new games upcoming, or they reveal new games that are gonna be set for either 2022 or 2023. Is there gonna be a Gen 9 reveal? To me personally, right now, they could honestly because technically we'd be entering our third year, or technically this is the third year, 2.5 years
yeah,
of Generation 8. So, and usually the cycle is every 2 or 3 years, it's a new Pokemon generation.
yeah. It's
Um,
definitely gonna be Gen 9. I hope because it's time. I mean, we can't do another year of Sword and Shield.
no, of
Like
course
actually
not.
one thing I think that could kill the franchise a bit is just like them taking a lot of time between games. It won't really kill it, but it'll just be like it'll make people kind of like forget about it because it kind of like it kills the hype a bit.
Correct. And this is gonna be one of those Pokemon years where uh, it's an anomaly because with Sword and Shield, we ended up getting a lot of Pokemon games. From 2019, I guess the end of 2019, we actually ended up getting Sword and Shield. We ended up getting Pokemon Home, which technically is not an actual game; it's just more of a bank. But it had trading capabilities on there. We've had Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which was a really great spin-off. I don't recollect the sales numbers or the overall ratings of the game, but the game was great. I mean, I've played it. I got 100 hours on it because again, it's a nostalgia reach. But it was a really good game. We ended up getting other spin-offs like Cafe Mix or Remix, whatever you like to call it. We ended up 2 iterations of Sword and Shield DLC, so they gave us a lot. I mean, and actually, this game too, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they gave us a lot of Pokemon content within the same year, which is something that usually does not happen in regards to the timeline of Pokemon games. Because then next year we'll have Legends Arceus, which technically still falls within Generation 8. Even though we'll be getting new
Yeah,
Pokemon, those Pokemon are not going to be really considered Generation 9 or kind of like, Melmetal or Zeraora. Like, do they fall in Generation 8 or do they fall in Generation 9? I still think it's still in Generation 8 because we're still in that timeline. And then afterwards, after Legends Arceus, we'll see what they do with Pokemon in general. Are they gonna announce a new generation, or are they just gonna continue making Pokemon games? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Legends Arceus. I think my expectations have been initially it's been like pretty calm, pretty like okay, the information they revealed has been pretty great so far. I like the idea of an open world Pokemon game. It's about fucking time they have open world Pokemon games, and that's all great. Um, but I really do hope that they do not fall flat. If they, I mean, to put in perspective, if they fucked up in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I really do not want to see Legends Arceus take a turn for the worse. Because if it does, there's gonna be very, very angry people, and if they cannot
put it in the water.
if they cannot execute Legends Arceus in a good way, I think it's time for Game Freak and Ilka and whoever's in charge to look themselves in the mirror and be like, hey, do we have what it takes to make Pokemon great again? Um, what is missing from your Pokemon games? And I think like the biggest issue, and I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. I think the biggest issue is simply that Game Freak and Pokemon, they don't really listen to their fans. In regards
Yeah,
to other franchises like Capcom, like Capcom, they listen to their fans. If there's something wrong with their games, their PR. This is where I always play other video games or other franchises to see like what their developers do, what their team is thinking. You have like I guess Smash Ultimate is a good example where not only the games are great, you know, but it's the team, the developing team behind it is phenomenal because their public relations with the community is like it's really open ended. It's not really behind closed doors. They talk about patch notes. They talk about stuff that they changed. Heck, even like with Smash Ultimate, you have Sock, right? Literally the guy behind it all, talking about we made these changes. We did our research. We heard your complaints. We've heard about stuff that needs to get fixed. And then you have other franchises like or gaming developers like Capcom who put out phenomenal games like Resident Evil and Monster Hunter, and they listen to their fans. They listen about a lot of the complaints that have been going on, and they hopefully change the games for the very good. And obviously, it has positive outcomes. So, I kind of wish Game Freak was like that. They gotta listen to us. Like, hey, we don't like the battle timer in Sword and Shield. Why the fuck is it in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl when there's no ranked battles? If you wanted us to have a good Pokemon experience, why didn't you just remake Platinum? If you wanted the games to look very good, why did you make it chibi style? If you wanted these games to be the best experience out there, why is it a faithful remake where it's still restricted based on the original styles of the game? So I think that's just
Yeah,
something that they need better PR. I think their PR fell flat once I think when was Pokemon Sword and Shield? I think it was during the Treehouse, Nintendo Treehouse. I think it was E3 2019 is when they talked about how a lot of Pokemon had been cut from Sword and Shield, and people didn't understand the gravity of the effect up until they literally said, "Hey, we cut off like near almost half of the Pokedex out." And people were pretty
yeah,
pissed about it. So I think in order for them to understand their errors, in order for them to be great, they just gotta look in the mirror and say, "Hey, we gotta do something." And I think the first thing
yeah,
they should do is we just gotta listen to our community. Our community has been around since the existence of Pokemon, which I believe was 1996. So it's been around for 25 years, 22, or going on to 26 years. And I think it's time for them to see that, yes, we buy your games. Yes, we do not make your games, but we as a community have a lot of power in regards of opinion. If a random company made a shitty game, we'll call them out and say, "Hey, this is a shitty game. We don't enjoy this kind of stuff. Why am I paying a shitty game at full price?" And then some developers actually say, "Hey, you're right. We didn't live up to our standards." So I guess Pokemon, as good as it is, they just gotta listen to the people.
yeah. Exactly. It's just like I feel like definitely. I mean, they can't make it perfect for everybody, but there's so many little things they could do that really. I mean, yeah, we're no game developers, but like stuff like the timer, it's like I don't see how that is a big issue to where you restrict it like that. And I feel there's other things they could do that like it just seems like it's just I don't know why they just I don't know. I just wish they would have more transparency and say like, hey, we did this because of this, and like actually there's like some dialogue and stuff like that because I mean if you know stuff about like the Pokemon company, they do a lot of stuff with like the VGC players and like content creators. They actually do kind of like they'll communicate with them and stuff like that. But I feel like definitely there needs to be a lot of transparency. And that's kind of like my whole point. Like I mean I feel like he was saying like compared to other gaming communities, the Pokemon community just isn't that way at all.
Right. And then I guess that wraps it up for our opinion. If I had to rate this game out of scale of 1 through 10, I'd probably give it a 7. That's just me being very
Same for me.
generous. I'd probably a 6 or 7. 7. I guess more of a 7 because it is, like I said, it's a good game. Is it worth your time? Yes. Is it a bad game? Of course not. But it's not a really exceptional game. Should you have it on your Nintendo Switch library? I think you should if you're a Pokemon fan. If you missed out on Generation 4, yeah, you should be playing these games to see, what's really great about these games. Um, so yeah, a 7 out of 10. I think it's a pretty fair grade. And who knows in retrospective, years down the road when we go back and look at these remakes. In terms of a remake, I think they do fail the expectations of a remake, as in they didn't really add anything new per se. Um, they just added features and then rehashed them in these games and renamed it something else. So
Yeah,
um,
pretty much.
I guess yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me let me know, guys, in the chat, in the comments down below, like what's your
Oh shit!
opinion.
It is time for Game Awards, or is that another hour?
Yeah, so like someone mentioned that I think it starts at 5. So obviously we're gonna end it right here. I'm gonna watch the Game Awards just to see who wins Game of the Year. I hope it's Resident Evil Village, but whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this little, review, or
Same.
pretty much a rant what went wrong with
Yeah.
this game. But yeah, I have Larry's channel in my description. You guys want to check him out? He's a pretty good PokeTuber himself. So yeah, it's been a while since Larry and I collaborated on a video. I don't remember the last time we collaborated ever.
Right. One
I,
of the last trailers for Diamond and Pearl, I think.
yeah, so it's been a while since we collaborated, and hopefully we're looking forward to have more collaborations. There's definitely going to be one for Legends Arceus. Depends how long or how good the games are. And obviously, before Legends Arceus release, I will be taking a look into the reviews of the game, just to see um, what's the setting and the tone for this game. Um,
Absolutely.
and I believe starting today, pre-orders went live, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So if you want to pre-order the game, I usually pre-order my games because solely for the reason that I forget that games get released on certain dates. Um, if you are hesitant about games and you want to look into reviews first before making an informative decision, don't pre-order the games. Just look up online, and it doesn't matter if you pre-order the game just for the bonuses, then yeah, sure. But if you're pre-ordering the game just because, I highly recommend just buying the game whenever you want, up to release. That way you can make your own opinions and decisions. Because one thing I will say is that a lot of reviews from those high-end gaming companies like IGN, Game Explain, or Kotaku, they might bump their ratings up a little bit because I mean, to be honest with you, they're just shills for fucking Nintendo, for all I care. And obviously they have gaming contracts with Nintendo and Pokemon and all that sorts. So their opinions might vary a lot from our opinion. Kind of like how IGN gave Sword and Shield 9.2 out of 10, which is fucking ridiculous at the time of the time of its release. So, um, you know, if you want to pre-order, go for it. I don't recommend really pre-ordering games that you're not confident that they'll do good. But like I said, just look into reviews, just make an informative opinion, and whether you think it's worth it, go for it. We're not saying you shouldn't do it, but it's just have a outside perspective, have a different perspective, especially when it comes to Pokemon games that have been receiving flack lately for not having its identity, preserved over time. So, I guess that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, I do have Larry's info or channel and info in the description of this live stream. You guys want to check it out. And if you guys have any other opinions that or any topics you thought we missed out, go ahead and do so in the comment section down below. So I appreciate Larry coming out. I know this.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I just realized that the live is almost going for 2 hours at this point. So
Oh shit.
yeah, it's in like an hour and 43 minutes. So we've been talking a lot. I think we covered everything. So if I missed out on something, just go ahead and do so. I will post this live. I think I already did in Larry's Facebook group, so that people can tune in as well, that they didn't miss out on anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's it for now. And yeah, we're looking forward to Legends Arceus. My expectations have been tempered a little bit, so I don't really care. But as soon as the release date gets closer, perhaps the expectation and excitement will definitely go up, because I'm really curious to see how the franchise is going to be developing moving forward. So, that's pretty much it. And I hope to see you guys on the next stream. I will probably be doing a 6 IV Ditto giveaway this weekend. Um, that way you guys don't miss out. So I guess that's it. I don't know if Larry, if you have any closing remarks, then we're pretty much done here.
No, yeah, I'm pretty much done. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. I mean, glad you guys tuned in and listened. But yeah, you guys have a good day.
All right, see you guys.